Once you find yourself in conflict with a narcissist, it's a virtual guarantee they're going to start playing head games with you. That's why I put together a new course. It's very extensive called Anger Games. I'm going to teach you how to manage anger and conflict with a narcissist. There's a link below that's going to show you how to register, and I hope that you find it to be very insightful. I want to talk with you today about a topic that frankly creates pain on the inside of my heart, and that's the topic of toxic masculinity. Now, there are some men who are so into their manliness and their sense of dominance over other individuals that they take their masculinity to an exaggerated extreme, and in doing so, they harm a lot of individuals along the way. Now, I understand that we tend to think in stereotypes regarding feminine and masculine. I mean, when we think of the feminine side of life, we tend to think of comfort and softness, or the arts, or being cooperative, or an emphasis on heart connection, nurturing, things like that, and rightly so. We all have mothers, and hopefully they could be that way. When we think stereotypically in terms of masculinity, we think more in terms of assertiveness or aggressiveness, dominance, power, being less emotively driven and more logic or reason driven, more inclined towards being the worker or coarse and things like that. Okay, that's our stereotypes, and I understand they exist, and they're inexact, but nonetheless, that's how we tend to go. History shows that there are so many episodes and evidences of males who will take their masculine bent and run with it to such a far extreme that they're very damaging. For example, throughout history, how many wars have been conducted by women? And the answer is, it's almost all masculine. If one country doesn't like another, us men are going to get out there and we're going to go find out who we can kill. I mean, and that's a deep, deep theme throughout all of mankind, whether we're talking about inside of government or policing or military or business or the legal profession, sports, extreme sports, tyrants inside the home or business. Men have all sorts of different ways where they can proclaim themselves the king of the hill and the one that's going to be the final authority. And in doing so, it turns masculinity into a cartoon. Now, I want to see if I can first give you some basic examples or illustrations of some of the characteristics that are a part of toxic masculinity, and then I'm going to want to get to the heart of the matter of what it really is all about. First, when we talk about a toxic male, we're talking about, of course, them being harmful, but these individuals are very dominant, especially towards those who are supposed to be subordinate. They must have somebody underneath them. They've got to be in the power position. In addition, when we talk about toxic masculinity, these individuals want to be more stoic and self-reliant. They need to appear tough, and self-sufficiency is all of utmost importance. In addition, they tend to be overly aggressive. Their anger is unambiguous. When they're mad, they're going to let you know, and they're very unapologetic about it. They can be very in your face and very forceful and pushy in the way that they express their aggression and anger. These individuals take pride in not being emotionally needy. That's for wimps. And if you say, well, I'm hurting or I'm struggling or I have a problem that I'd like your assistance on, it's like, well, then you're not a real man then, are you? On top of that, they can be highly competitive, and they can turn any and every kind of event into a win-lose kind of competition. I mean, how many times have you been around in social circles where men are just trying to one-up each other on who knows what? The toxically masculine male can be very blunt, very binary in their thinking, very all or nothing, black and white. When it comes to expressing tender emotions, it's like, heck no. Of course, I'm saying it politely. This is a family-oriented show. I'm not going into tenderness. Blunt and just insensitive to those things is where they are. They can be crude. They can be coarse and proud of it. They can have a demeaning attitude or a sense of humor. They think it's funny when they run other individuals into the ground, and they're oblivious to the pain that they can create when they mock and ridicule other individuals. They actually think they're funny, and they don't care if it's at someone else's expense, you see, because they're dominant anyway. And if you have a problem with it, that just means you're a wimp. These individuals are quite willing to disparage the soft things in life. Especially with other men. You know, if men want to have more of the tender, more nurturing kind of things, like, oh, please. They want to be a man's man. They're highly judgmental towards where you might be on that spectrum of masculinity. And they are absolutely unwilling to go into an emotionally vulnerable place. They don't want to admit the need for, like I say, for help. And whenever there's a vulnerability, let's say there's another guy that's struggling or hurting, their attitude is man up. Just thicken it up, man. You know, just be what you're supposed to be. And then, of course, they have a very haughty and condescending attitude towards what I would refer to as individuals who are other. If you don't think like them, if you're too soft, if you have a different emphasis, or if you're just out of the masculine box, they don't like that in the least. They think in terms of hard stereotypes about how you're supposed to be. Now, I mentioned to you that there's one thing that really gets to the heart of the matter, and that is these toxic males tend to have a very low view of women, of females. And when I say that, I'll take the easy stuff first. They think, all this feminine stuff, is not for me, like housekeeping or tending to little children or seeking out disadvantaged people or being sweet and being nice. It's like, yeah, you women folk, y'all do that kind of stuff. I don't do that. But even more so, toxic men want to keep women in their place. You know what I'm saying? You have a role. Your role is to be subordinate. Your role is to be supportive to me. Stay in that role. They are threatened by when they think the possibility of feminine priorities may take too much precedence. For example, in workplaces or in politics or other kind of organizations, if we have to do more touchy-feely kind of things, they don't like that. If they have to have sensitivity, they don't like having women inject their perspective. And then they definitely do not want to submit, is the way they look at it, submit to female leaders. It's like, no, you're not going to be my leader. I'm the man, you're the woman. Get that in mind. And then especially they can overly sexualize women. Women can be a toy to play with. And whereas in healthy sexuality, there's a deep heart commitment and a connection and a sense of spiritual connection with toxic men, sexuality is all about me getting my jollies. That's it. And so they'll exploit. They feel entitled. They're very transactional in the way that they look at it. They will objectify women. You exist to, because you have, a nice figure, or you look pretty, or you make me feel good, or you make me feel special. And to the extent that it demeans the woman's position, they're constantly in the lower place. So toxic males need to understand that dominance, in their mind, they think it's good. Dominance leads to destruction. If I destroy someone else, in a very large part, I'm destroying something inside of me. They don't understand that. These toxic males need to understand that soft traits, when I say soft, empathy or tenderness, actually can be a very positively and encouraging way to engage with other individual. You can have a greater sense of influence when you go in that direction. They don't grasp that. They need to understand that relationships are not a competition. We're not here to one up and one down and you service me because I am who I am and you are what you are down beneath me. And they also need to understand that having flaws or weaknesses or blind spots actually represent opportunities for growth. They don't think that way. It doesn't even cross their mind to think that way. Now I'm going to give you my frank assessment of toxic males. And that is, These individuals who embrace toxic masculinity are among the least insightful human beings on the planet. They're dense, they're closed-minded, they're pathologically smug and self-contained to the extent that they don't learn, they're unapologetic, they're crude, they're crass. They are not healthy, they are not good for humanity. Did I say that clearly enough? Yeah, and by the way, just an aside, even if these guys will gravitate towards spiritual themes, if they show up in organizations or churches or places like that, you know what they do? They emphasize authority. They emphasize power and dominance, even in a space that ideally would go towards love and peace and kindness and servitude, etc. And the same thing when they enter into something like public service. It's like, yeah. I'm going to serve. I'm going to serve by making you do what I say. There's no compromise. I'll fight for you. I don't want you to fight. And nuance is just something that's completely lost on them. There's so much of life that they do not get. I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed. As a male, I want to be balanced. I like being tutored by women. I like being tutored by men too. I just feel like there are things that I can learn that are going to be a little bit of a different angle. That's good for me. It's good for anybody else. I want to appreciate tenderness. I want to appreciate children. I want to appreciate the arts. I want to appreciate quiet meditative moments. And then if you're a female, I just want to say one thing to you, and that is please, please, please read the red flags. I've spoken with so many women who have been attached to these toxically masculine men who take them on as projects. Well, I'm going to soften them. But what happens is they tend to bring you down more than you're going to bring them up. Keep that in mind and just know, hold on to what's good and don't try to make somebody be somebody that they just choose not to be. You see, beyond our masculine and feminine roles, we're all humans. And we each need affirmation. We each need gentleness. We each need to be curious. We each need to have openness to what the other person has to say. Let's lean into that, and then let's use that kind of thinking and living as our model. Now, I hope this gives you some clarity about what you might be dealing with. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so. I'm going to keep more videos coming your direction and talk about all the different angles that we have here on this whole topic of narcissism. So hit that subscribe button. I know that sometimes when you're dealing with things like this, you could use some therapy. I've talked to so many people who've dealt with this in their homes and businesses, etc. We've been sponsored for years by the people at BetterHelp.com. They're a whole team of licensed professional therapists. There's a link below that will take you to their website. It can be so essential for you to have somebody that says, I want to know you, I want to understand you, I want to get you into the place where you can be your best version of yourself. And if you've been robbed of who you want to be, please seek out the therapy, and it can be an investment in yourself. In addition, I have courses that I put together. Each course has at least 25 teaching videos, and each video has documents, handouts that go along with it. We have my new one called Anger Games, and I'm very excited about it because it goes into why and how narcissists pull you into their games and how you can stay unstuck. So look into that one. Along with that, we have This Is Me about boundaries, free to be, finding yourself despite the controllers, Ready, Set, Connect about healthy connections. On our website, we also have my webinars, which are 90-minute presentations. They're very different, and you still have access to those, along with my articles and access to the podcast and my books, etc. Okay, toxic masculinity, I'm not impressed. All it does is it just makes a caricature of men, and it takes it in a direction that's just not at all good. Anything that's anti-love is something that just, like I say, it causes pain in me. I'm hoping that each one of us can decide, I want to be tender, and I want to be peaceful, and I want to be loving. And I hope that that's something you're committed to. And in doing so, you know that you're going into a right space. Do not apologize for being a person of gentleness and tenderness and peace.